Welcome back, Wolfpack. Dire Wolf here. Former CIA director acknowledges the deep state is seeking to destroy the president. My goodness. It's called treason. Treason is a crime punishable by death, preferably by hanging, but also possibly by being drawn and quartered.
Or firing squad.
Yes. Treason is a crime of betraying one's country. On Wednesday of this week, former CIA director John McLaughlin said, "Thank God for the deep state" during a panel on C-SPAN. He went on to explain that it is a good thing that entrenched partisans in government had worked to subvert the president. I just love the cycle of Republicans are like, hey, there's like this thing going on. Can you guys stop doing that? And they're like, that's a conspiracy theory. Or like,
not real.
No, really. Like, we've got evidence that it's happening. And they're like, well, it's real and it's a good thing. Like, wait a second. I thought it was a conspiracy theory.
Just a moment ago, you said it was conspiracy.
You said it was a conspiracy theory because allegedly, apparently you would think that it's a bad thing, and that's why you didn't want to admit to it. But now you're admitting to it and saying that it's a good thing. So,
and you're proud of it.
Yes. All right, let's watch this video.
You'd have to agree that now the impeachment inquiry is underway, sparked by a complaint from someone within the intelligence community. It feeds the president's concern and often used term about a deep state being there to take him out.
Thank God for the deep state. I mean, I think, everyone here has seen this progression of diplomats and intelligence officers and White House people trooping up to Capitol Hill right now and saying, these are people who are doing their duty, who are responding to a higher call. It doesn't, well, think about it for a minute. With all of the people who knew what was going on here, it took an intelligence officer to step forward and say something about it, which was the trigger that then unleashed everything else. Now, why does that happen? What I tell American people why that happens is this is the institution in the U.S. government that, with all of its flaws, and it makes mistakes, is institutionally committed to objectivity and to telling the truth.
Just so you guys heard what he said the intelligence community is an institution devoted to telling the truth. The people that are their hallmark is to lie and misdirect and spy and subterfuge. And this guy is saying their whole point, their whole purpose in life is to tell the truth. That's all they've ever done.
You're spies! Yeah. You're an industry of spies.
We're going to rewatch that. I know that he said the deep state thing. I know that's what we're about to talk about. But the thing that I thought was the issue was not that he said thank God for the deep state. The issue is what he just said.
We're talking about both those things.
Yeah, the issue was the intelligence committee is an institution dedicated to telling the truth. Fuck off. Fuck off. All right.
This is the institution in the U.S. government that, with all of its flaws, and it makes mistakes, is institutionally committed to objectivity and to telling the truth. It is one of the few institutions in Washington that is not in a chain of command that makes or implements policy. Its whole job is to speak the truth. It's engraved in marble in the lobby.
Just because you write it down doesn't make it true. Didn't freaking Google have "Don't be evil" in their headquarters? That didn't turn out very well. He described the procession of government officials going to Capitol Hill to testify against the president as them doing their duty and that they have a higher calling. First off,
their higher calling is the Clintons.
Yeah. So first off, no, the majority of those that have testified have supported Trump's defense, that there was no quid pro quo. A few officials have reportedly stated that it was their opinion that there was a quid pro quo, but all of them have been unable to provide any evidence that it was. We already know that Trump did not promise to give or withhold anything based on whether or not Ukraine decided to help the U.S. investigation into corruption. We know from the transcripts and from the Ukrainian president himself that Trump did not do what he's being accused of having done.
We already know that it was the Ukraine president that brought up Biden, not Trump. We know this because it was in the transcript. And we know that the whistleblower's report of the transcript that we can all read for ourselves was factually wrong. And again, we know that because we can read the actual transcript. These officials are accusing Trump with no evidence of a crime, and the thing that they're using to accuse him is evidence of the opposite of what they're accusing him. Even if Trump had withheld aid until Ukraine had promised to investigate crimes committed by American officials, that would not be a crime. It would be something that we should do. Just because you were in the administration previously does not, and you're running for president now, does not grant you blanket immunity to any crime that you may have committed. So are they going to hold this standard for Trump that after he gets out of office, because that's their whole thing, is they want to impeach him so they can get him out of office, and then they're going to try and go after him for like criminal stuff. Well, by this logic, as soon as he's out of the presidency, you are not allowed to pursue any kind of corruption investigation against him.
It's ridiculous because the presidents do this in negotiating all the time to try to influence other countries. The fact that they're making a big deal about Trump doing it with Ukraine is ridiculous. And then the only justification they have to be upset about is they're saying that it's because Biden is running against Trump right now. Well, yeah, Biden is like the least likely person Trump would be worried about going up against. That's not likely the reason. More likely is the fact that Trump was calling about actual election intervention from Ukraine that they have already admitted to, and he was asking for investigation into that topic. And then the Ukrainian president also brought up corruption from an old case involving Biden and his son. And Trump's like, yeah, investigate that too. That'd be great. And there was no withholding of funds for this topic. But even if he had done that to encourage the Ukrainian government to investigate this election tampering, it would have been justified. So this Ukraine probe is just a continuation of the soft coup that started before Trump was ever elected, with 5 illegal FISA requests. But that's 5 confirmed. It could be up to 7 by the time the Durham investigation is over.
Can you remind me again, how many illegal FISA requests did Trump use to go into Biden?
0.
Oh, okay. Was it 0? Okay, I didn't know it was that many. Wow.
Right. But it was the intel agencies, that not anyone else in government. It was the intel agencies only, FBI, that filed 5 illegal FISA requests, knowingly lying to FISA judges to get the permits to spy on Trump's campaign. These impeachment hearings are just a continuation of the failed 2-year investigation into Trump-Russia collusion. The failsafe that members of the FBI like Peter Strzok and Lisa Page planned in case he was elected. Those FISA requests and the Mueller investigation were all predicated on the Steele dossier that the intel agencies had a part in creating and that they knew from the beginning was false.
Half of the Steele dossier that wasn't paid for by the Clinton Foundation, the other half of that was paid for by the FBI.
Right. The FBI intel agencies were paying for and helping create a dossier that they knew was unverified, false opposition research, and then they repackaged it and lied to a FISA court saying this was verified evidence. They used the creator of the Steele dossier, quotes from him twice, from 2 different sources, but from the same person, and they said that those were corroborations that each one of those statements is true, which is they knew was false. They were the ones that leaked the story in the first place to the news agency to publish the story so they could have a corroborating source. This was all predicated on lies made by the FBI so they could have a justification for the FISA warrants. This is not the FBI came across this and then started investigating it. No, they helped create it, so they knew from the very beginning that it was false because they were involved in it. Lying to the American people and conducting illegal spying in the effort to unseat the rightfully elected president of the United States despite the will of the people is not the intel agencies doing their duty. It sure as hell isn't a higher calling either. It's treason. And for some of them, they will be going to jail for it.
There's one nice thing about the separation of powers that we have. Congress won't be able to really do anything about that because that'll all be handled under the Justice Department, which is under the executive branch, not under Congress. The only maybe little fly in this ointment would be as if they were able to do something to get Trump impeached, but I don't think that Pence is going to slam the brakes on this. And I don't think that they're going to be able to get Pence. They're not going to be able to get Trump and Pence out before this comes to fruition, and it will come to fruition. He said that because the person who started this impeachment inquiry into Trump Ukraine phone call was from the intel agency, that there was evidence that the intel agencies are institutionally committed to telling the objective truth. What a load of bullshit that is. Jesus Christ. These hearings were started based on a verified lie and were started before there was any evidence of a crime. These officials are now coming to testify to a crime after Trump released proof that there was no crime. They are bringing no evidence of their own. All they are doing is making a political attack against the president.
There is nothing objective about the calls for impeachment that started the day after the election. There's nothing objective or truthful about the intel agencies and how their top brass dealt with the Steele dossier, the dossier they helped create, and the Mueller investigation. There is nothing objective, truthful, or fair about these impeachment hearings that are being conducted for the sole purpose of causing political damage to the president, despite the lack of any substance. There is nothing objective about Jeffrey Epstein because he was murdered to protect high-profile pedophiles.
The only thing truthful in former CIA Director John McLaughlin's statement was when he acknowledged that there is, in fact, a deep state and that he loves it. No, not a secret cabal of just a few individuals that really hold the keys to power while everyone else in positions of power are just puppets. The reality of the deep state is that they are a lot like a hive mind in positions of power that work in unison for their joint political goals, which is probably to make money and keep other people that keep them in power also in power. They help ensure that positions of power are filled with people who are like-minded and that they get to use and abuse their collective government power for personal gain. In this case, a bunch of people in the government, the media, the intel agencies all saw Trump as a threat to their power, and they have worked collectively to remove him from office by any means necessary. This has included committing crimes in the efforts to accuse Trump of crimes he has not done. The deep state is a real problem that seeks to exert unconstitutional and corrupt power over the American people. How dare they?
Yes. The only president that seems to have done anything to combat the deep state is Trump. If we let them win this next election, then they will remain in power. And there will be probably no one that could be elected that will be able to combat the deep state. Trump is very lucky to have gotten this far while combating them directly. And if we want to defeat them, we're going to require him for the next maybe 2-3 cycles.
The issue with the never Trump supposed Republicans and people who aren't that they're not really that about Trump and all right, well, we'll just let him get impeached, whatever, we'll wait next time. The let's just wait for the next one mentality is not going to work out as well this time. We're at a pretty critical point in time. Technology has really turned around the last decade and is going to turn around a lot harder in the next one, and the intel agencies have really been exploiting that. Obviously, we've got all the Snowden leaks showed that. Obviously, all of the things that they were doing to actually tap Trump's phone lines and people that were part of his campaign, and doing all of that digital investigation, that is only going to get worse. We also have the other cultural issues of, the culture really wants corporations to be censoring the internet and that sort of stuff. If we let this slide now, it will slide so far we won't be able to pull it back. If we don't stop the intel agencies from doing this sort of thing again, they will just ride that wave of technology, and it will become, it'll become the thing that enslaves us. We will get our dystopic future if it's not nipped in the bud right now. Right now is where that decision of which future we're going to have gets made. Trump gets taken out, he's not able to turn this around, then we will be under a digital tyranny of the deep state, the intel agencies, until there is no more. So that will be the end of the country.
If you think about it, we actually were very lucky because the only reason why Trump got elected or was permitted to get elected because the deep state did not step in and do something earlier is because of their arrogance. They believed the polls that there was no way Trump could win. So their plan to frame him was kind of lazy, was not complete. He was able to fight through it. There was no evidence. They actually didn't manufacture enough evidence of a crime for them to actually prosecute him for.
Hey Wolfpack, if you liked our video, hit that like button and share it with your friends. And if you really liked the video, share it with your enemies as well. And if this is your first time and you want to see more content from us, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to receive notifications, hit that bell button. It won't do anything, but it'll make you feel better about yourself. I would also like to thank everyone who donates to our channel monetarily through zerostrings.org or through Streamlabs and Super Chats. Thank you very much for your support.